let me show you the system requirements, the minimum requirements to play World Truck Driving Simulator 2, and also talk about some features that might be coming to the game. I'll also discuss the possible or predicted release date of the game. So let's start with the first major thing here, which is the system requirements. Now guys, based on what I've studied and the pattern I've noticed with dynamic games, I realized something very interesting. They usually release their games with good optimization and reasonable system requirements. For example, World Truck Driving Simulator was released in 2018, and the minimum requirement at that time was Android version 7.0 and above. So if World Truck Driving Simulator was released in 2018 with Android 7.0 as the minimum requirement, I think World Truck Driving Simulator 2 will probably require Android 8.0 or maybe slightly higher. But personally, I think Android 8.0 will be the baseline for the game. So first of all, the required OS will likely be Android version 8 and above. This is about a 90% prediction, because I've observed how dynamic games usually release their games. Now let's talk about RAM. Dynamic games usually try to make sure their games run smoothly on many devices, so I don't think the RAM requirement will be extremely high. I believe 4 gigabytes of RAM should be enough to run the game smoothly. So for now, the two minimum requirements I predict are Android version 8.0 and above 4 gigabytes of RAM. But guys, let me also talk about something very important, which is your processor. Your processor plays a huge role in how the game performs. Forget about the Android version for a moment. The Android version mainly determines whether your phone can install the game or not, but the processor determines about 70% of how the game will actually run and how good it will look. So I think having a good processor will be very important. Even if your phone meets the minimum requirement for the best performance, you still need a strong processor. Personally, whenever someone wants to buy a smartphone for gaming, I usually recommend Qualcomm Snapdragon processors, Apple Bionic chips, or a good MediaTek processor. All of these processors can handle heavy games very well. So what I'm trying to say is that your processor plays a huge role in how smooth the game will run. So again, the predicted minimum requirements are Android 8.0 and above 4 gigabytes RAM, a decent processor. Now let me know your phone specs and processor in the comment section, and I'll try to reply and tell you if your phone might run the game. All right, next up, let's talk about the features that the game might have. Based on the teaser that Dynamic Games shared about World Truck Driving Simulator 2, honestly, this game might become one of the best games they have ever made. One thing I really like about Dynamic Games is that they always try to make their truck simulator games last for many years. For example, World Truck Driving Simulator was released in 2018, and even today the game is still better than many truck simulator games that were released recently on mobile. And honestly, that's very impressive. Dynamic Games usually try to make their games feel next generation, which means World Truck Driving Simulator 2 will likely stay relevant in the gaming community for a very long time. They always try to make sure the maps are well designed, the trucks are properly modeled, the driving physics feels realistic. So I believe this game is going to be really good. We should also expect both American and European truck brands to appear in the game, which will make it even more exciting. Now finally, let's talk about the release date. A lot of you have been asking, when will World Truck Driving Simulator 2 be released? Well, right now there is no official release date yet. Dynamic Games has not announced anything officially, but based on what I've noticed from them in the past, there is a chance that we might see an early test version towards the end of the year. Dynamic Games usually does internal beta testing, which means they select a few players to test the game privately before releasing it publicly. So by the end of the year, we might start seeing early test gameplay teasers, small development updates. They usually do this with most of their games. So for now, there is no official release date because the game is still in development. We also don't know the exact development progress yet, but from what I can tell, the game seems to be in a good stage of development. So we might expect beta testing or teasers toward the end of the year, and after that, an official release date announcement. All right, guys, that's basically everything I wanted to share in this video. Let me know your phone specs in the comment section, and I'll try to reply as fast as possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.